Kuno care? The fuck do you want with it? Oh, that? Kuno decapitates pigs. That's just a Kuno demo tape. Yeah, Kuno plays on snuff radio, fucks pigs, live, fucks their heads off. Kuno's a cop killer. That's where Kuno gets his daily hit of electric. Kuno Shazam. Kuno rides the fucking lightning in their pig.
Bet you'd like to ride the lightning too, wouldn't you? You feel tired and old, but you could have that sparkle in your eyes.
It's a vitamin pig. Don't you know anything? Yeah, it's the mag. You fucking need that shit to stay on top of your game. Kuno goes through like a tube a day, rips mag like a motherfucker, and you could use a battle.
Oh, don't teach him, Kuno! He's gonna use it against you, Kuno!
You're not getting this, pig. It completely takes away the hangover. It's like you didn't do anything. Like you stayed home playing with your choo-choo.
Fuck you, pig! Don't do mag! You're gonna OD and you're gonna fucking die!
Good call, Pigmeister. Don't come and talk to Kuno about his kingdom. Kuno gets it from his dad. Kuno and his dad are major suppliers. That's where Kuno gets his lightning on. Problem is, Kuno and his dad had a little falling out. Now junkies clawing at Kuno's door. Streets going mad. Kuno's got to throw his dirty popo man at it. Dirty popo man is you. In there is Kuno's violent dad on steroids. Kuno's dad does steroids and speed. If you can take him, you can have half of the speed. Kuno's dad is a fucking monster. He's the most violent man in Revachol. He doesn't give a shit about a single thing. He drinks too.
Looks like we're looking at a close-quarters fight in some run-down drug den. Bongs falling, hookers screaming. You should use the environment against him. You can't afford to take a hit from this guy. I mean, anabolic steroids and speed. You're best off dodging blows, wearing him out until he has a heart attack. You know how you'd be best off here? With a gun. I'd be the star of the show if you only had a working gun. Don't expect to talk this one down. There are some situations your mouth can't get you out of. You won't sweet-talk your way around this man. Good thing this psycho-drug boss is strictly optional.
Like half? A baggie, but like in this vial?
That's half a gram, sir.
Yeah, half a G. Want it or not? Fuck you talking about half a G? This shit is giant, grade A shit. So clean you can barely see it.
You can barely see it because there's barely any.
Okay, Kuno's listening. Sure, whatever. If you survive, make sure to bring that shit back to Kuno. Kuno's almost out. You wouldn't like the Kuno when he's out. Kuno's violent dad's got Kuno's key. So you need to fuck your way in there. Go to the pier side, bang on the door till the cleaning gimp lets you in. That's how Kuno does it. Then you go to room 12 and kick down the door, police violence style. That's what Kuno does. And then it's action time. You're locked in the room with violent fuckhead. That's it. Next time Kuno sees you, you better have his shit.
What the hell are you signing us up for here? Okay then.
Kuno doesn't fucking care.
Hear that? Magnesium. That's what you're lacking. The lack of magnesium has you slouched. The magnesium levels in your blood are dangerously low. It's about the low magnesium levels and not the high alcohol levels. Yes, and it's critical. Look at yourself. You're practically devolving into a fish due to the lack of magnesium in your bloodstream. Maggot sideways? What are you talking about? You need to maggot up. You've probably had 2 heart attacks and a minor stroke already, and the only prescription is insane amounts of magnesium. 1 stroke? Don't be so modest. He's having one right now. Yes, if you want to live, you need to evolve. You need to transcend the carbon barrier. Go to the apothecary and buy insane amounts of magnesium. It will reverse the damage to your circulatory system. Just remember, it's not the alcohol. Buy more of that too. Alcohol is not the problem. And it's certainly not the dextroamphetamine, nor smoking for 40 years. It's the lack of magnesium and excess of coffee. You should stop drinking coffee. It wreaks havoc on your gastrointestinal system.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a dye? I'm listening. I'm pretty sure it still doesn't work, but sure. What do you want to know? Sure, I'm listening. Good. I hope it...
An old call box. East Delta Commerce Center. This button looks new, but someone has removed the name card. Nothing happens when you try to ring it.
This button looks new. I wouldn't be surprised if it hasn't been connected yet. Is it the dice makers?
couple of indicator lights are missing from this control panel. Loose wires dangle from the now vacant holes. In the middle is a lever. Beneath it, a small metal plaque. This panel usually closes the waterlock, turning it into a bridge that lets you cross the canal. But there's a crashed salmon and butter sign in the way. Pulling the lever probably won't do anything. You pull the lever all the way up until the metal clicks against the contact pins. You hear a soft clunk. Then, nothing happens. Nothing happens. A cold gust of wind blowing in from the sea interrupts the silence of the situation. A spring brings the lever back to its original position. You still need to close the waterlock to get across the canal, some other way. Wasn't there a sign over there saying functionality will be restored on Wednesday morning? A crumpled billboard reading, Samaran butter soaks in the canal. Two ugly lines mar the bright countenance of the blonde boy depicted. The sign billboard has fallen on the waterlock, keeping it open, and thus out of order. Judging by the size of the impact and the parallel lines of burnt rubber, the cause was probably a motor vehicle. These look like the same tire tracks I saw earlier, in front of the whirling rags. Side slip marks indicated that the vehicle was traveling up the crater at 35 kilometers an hour. The black marks on the roof indicate that the vehicle vaulted from the crater to the roof of the shack. The panel served as a takeoff ramp. The vehicle soared through the air, hitting the billboard and upsetting the posts. Then it continued its flight, taking the billboard with it. The sign broke the vehicle's fall into the canal. The Samaran butter billboard still looks freshly painted, suggesting it took the plunge recently, within the past 72 hours. Still speeding, the vehicle made a loop and vanished into the fog along the coast. There are two good candidates, the Caprice 40 and the Linéaire G22. Very sturdy but light motor carriage, more likely than most to survive that jump. The Linéaire G22 is not a particularly popular model due to its peculiar proportions, which the manufacturer's design team probably thought about for too long. It's about the right size, and the tire marks look like they came from the skinny tires frequently found on that motor carriage. The Caprice 40 is a very popular model, with bank clerks, topping pie delivery drivers, secondary school teachers, cops, strippers dressed as cops, undressed strippers. You'd have to follow the tracks to be sure. The lieutenant looks on, waiting for you to wrap up your analysis.
Any theories about what happened here? What kind of car do you think it was? That's quite likely, from what I can tell. Oh. We are not traffic cops. Should we get back to the murder?
Somewhere in the depths of your alcohol-addled soul, you find a few threads that you can weave into a story.
The tip-top tourney champion?
The lieutenant patiently listens to the words coming from your mouth.
Jumping canals at night? If I was Jacob Irv, I wouldn't drive in Martinez. The roads are awful.
Shut down.
In conclusion, it's a colorful theory, but I don't believe Jacob Irv did this. Should we go? If we must.
I'm not expecting him to get far with this, the lieutenant consoles himself. You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in rags, others yet in bright blue uniforms. All are stern and unyielding in their duty. Try to find something pretty and cool here, then use it to win her back. Why? What's this? A headless man riding a horse? A headless man wearing futuristic tracksuit trousers that say found.
Oh, that's the headless phone rider. There's been a lot of interest in that particular figurine. I had to hide it so it wouldn't fall into the wrong hands.
He doesn't elaborate on these wrong hands. It's unlikely that he ever will.
I've heard about it. I've heard the headless phone rider rides a headless bull.
Yes, there are several competing versions of the story, but I believe this figurine is a more canonical representation. The headless phone rider. It's an urban legend about a man who rides the streets of Revachol sporting a fawn tracksuit. As you see, he's missing his head. 50 cents. Bargain priced. I'll throw in the tiny cap too. I think he's looking for it, or something. That part.
He lost his cap when he lost his head. Perhaps he's looking for the head.
Did I mention that this figurine is supposed to be lucky? Always carry it with you.
That was a very smooth salesman's grin that almost comes off as earnest. You should learn from him. Yes, buy something nice. A figurine. This sounds off. You shouldn't trust this guy. Big men on big horses, clad in lamella armor and carrying flintlocks, the kind that would mow down a line of enemy soldiers in the blink of an eye.
I used to be very serious about my Franco-Nigerian night.
A long, long time ago. They're not all blue. These figurines also wear gold coats and caps, complemented by orange trousers. They are variously posed, wielding swords and rifles with bayonets.
Which ones? Ah, those. Yes, they are. I find the paint job a bit gaudy, but children like the bright colours indiscriminately.
This set of soldiers isn't meant to look impressive. A few have rifles, but most of them carry pistols. Some even shovels and tall sticks.
You're probably talking about the revolutionaries, yes? Yes, they are soldiers, revolutionary soldiers. I think their poverty has been exaggerated for effect. When you place them next to the royalists, it doesn't seem like they could possibly win. Maybe.
He seems to have his own take on the conflict played out in perpetuity by these toys. Might be interesting to find out what it is. Wow, a very large red t-shirt with an impressive print stands out from the other garb. Oh yeah, the print depicts a muscled man striding toward you, a giant sword in each hand, encircled by burning embers. Behind him is a cluster of cabins engulfed in flames. Beneath him are the words, Hjelmdal burning.
Hell yeah, man. I don't usually carry printed tees, but this one was just pure exemplar. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I'm a fan, but I do think the Hjelmdalaman saga is an integral part of our shared reality. Most people don't think that the man from Hjelmdal really existed, but they're wrong.
Smells like worn cotton and a little old sweat there. Worn cotton with a side of flea market or trash bin.
Sniffing is okay, but please don't try anything on. Can't have you leaving your photon emissions in the fabric of things you're not going to buy.
You're not imagining it. Photon emissions? What is he talking about?
I mean, even if the man from Hjelmdal didn't exist before the adventure novels, the stories have made it so that he has. It's simple, really.
Okay.
You sound skeptical. It's not that complicated. All that's required is a more robust understanding of cause and effect. Besides, I've been to Kotla, though not quite as far north as the Hjelmdal, and watched northern lights travel across the sky. Very unique, energetic tides there.
It's for the best, because Hjelmdal is not a real place, and thus he could not have gone there. His theory isn't exactly incoherent, but its logic does suggest some unusual neural activity. Interesting. Very, very unique energies indeed. Geomagnetic ley lines, one might even say. Stop talking about this nerd stuff. It will make you weedy. Buy the damn shirt already. It's powerful.
2 real.
That's dirt cheap.
You should. Welcome to Hjelmdal, officer.
A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps. Streetlights like this one were part of a renovation effort a few decades back. Sadly, the effort was abandoned before it was completed, and so these lights still illuminate crumbling streets. The light pole has been carefully cut, and the wiring has been redone and attached to a standard indoor plug. The light buzzes faintly, but persistently. This would make quite a statement in your living room.
Yes, officer. As you see, it's in perfect working order.
His manner is casual, but his speech is careful, measured. He wants you to know that he has nothing to hide.
It was brought to me to be altered.
We are not here to investigate the theft of city property. You have to admit it's rather clever what he's done with it.
700 real. A bargain, I dare say.
A bargain? No, it's not. He's trying to sweet-talk you into buying trash.
Hey, I don't know where it came from, but it's not every day you get to buy and sell something so extraordinary. Excellent choice. I'm almost sad to part with it. It is quite heavy. You're going to need a truck. That's all right. I can keep it here for you until you find one. It's no problem. Come back any time to look at it. It's your sort of streetlight now.
A wise investment, I agree. The best part is that you can't carry it around. I would really dislike it if you could.
It's the 700 real modified streetlight you bought for some unknown reason. Still the same. The pole has been carefully cut, the wiring redone and attached to a standard indoor plug. The light buzzes faintly, but persistently. Makes you feel rebellious.
I'm sorry. There are no returns or exchanges for items purchased in this shop. Just enjoy it.
The boomboxes on the shelf look well-loved and well-travelled. Chipped, dented, they stare at you with the unblinking eyes of their tape reels. One especially catches your eye. Deep gold and amber plastic with a big old handle on top. A classic boombox that says, Stereo 8 approved. This is you. Golden orange. A sunset suite. Just make sure it works before you buy it.
Absolutely. I've tested each one myself with recordings of speech, found sounds and music from a variety of genres, even though I don't really like music.
That's odd. Why doesn't he like music?
The stuff I record myself, silverware shaking in drawers as motor cars race by, nocturnal animals climbing on the roof, airship rotors, that kind of thing.
Maybe you should ditch music as well. Get into these more experimental sounds he's describing.
Is the Harman Welsh W2, made in Vespa, designed in Seoul, plays all reel-to-reel formats, 2mm, 8mm, 12mm. It's even got a little radio in there. It'll set you back 12 real. If police work means playing tapes, sure, you can use it for that, or any other time you'd need to play a tape.
Like a beach party, with sand and sun and seagulls dancing on the breeze.
Theoretically, yes, but we don't have time right now. It's generally murder investigation first, then beach party.
You can play it any way you like. And I guess since you're a police officer, no one can arrest you for it. And here you are, quality sound reproduction on the go. It'll play anything, wherever, turn any tape into a conversation of sounds and shapes. If you don't mind, please put the flashlight away. Some of us have photonic sensitivities.
Photonic sensitivity is not generally acknowledged by the medical establishment.
I do appreciate it. It's not often that I see officers from the RCM in my pawn shop. What can I do for you?
His courtesy is not insincere, but he prefers being alone with his projector, just watching the movement of light across the walls of the shop.
I haven't had any problems myself, though some of my customers have complained about inconsistent law enforcement.
Who are your customers usually?
All kinds of people come through here. Locals, travelers, people looking for a deal, people looking for a keepsake. People who are terminally bored. As you can see, I have a wide selection of goods for everyone to choose from. It keeps me entertained.
He's well composed, but underneath it you sense psychedelic processes bubbling. Some kind of drug, maybe. Entertained? He might be high, If he is, on what? Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward? Lucky bastard, he's probably on Pyrrolidon. It's tough to come by on the street. A drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
Why on earth? These are prescription. I can't really see without them.
There's a note of indignation in his voice. Interesting. Those triangle patches on his vest, you have a feeling they mean something, like they're similar to the halogen rectangle on your jacket.
I was with the Emergency Relief Brigade. You know, after the People's Pile disaster. Had to take Pyrrolidon for radiation sickness. That's what you were hinting at just now, wasn't it?
He's taken it for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days.
A bad idea. Some poor leftist built a particle decay generator in hopes of bringing affordable electricity to underserved communities. It malfunctioned. Radioactive waste everywhere. Probably some of it in you too.
The People's Pile was a Type U particle decay generator that failed immediately after entering service, releasing radioactive waste into River Esperance. A primitive nuclear reactor, also called a pile. Construction began during the Commune of Revachol. The people continued work on it after the Commune fell. They wanted a cheap source of energy for Revachol West. Needless to say, things didn't work out. An emergency valve defect resulted in steam pressure blowing the turbine, taking the fuel containment vessel up in the explosion. Both the faulty design and lack of finances contributed to the catastrophe.
We were an all-volunteer force, self-organized, tried to help the fire brigades contain the spill.
On the patch, gamma radiation lines crossed with a red drop of blood. Tough son of a gun, this one. Respect.
I lived by the river since I was a small boy. The Esperance. Didn't have the art to let it all go to shit without trying to do something to help out. There wasn't much the volunteer force could do, however. We wasted years in the river mud. Years. There's a reason why everyone's tried. So much disappointment. And early deaths. Cancer mostly. And we knew all that was coming even as we were cleaning up as best we could. No one's. Everyone's.
So much bitterness.
A bunch of poor people built themselves a primitive nuclear reactor, hoping for the best. What do you think is going to happen? The cleanup happened 15 years ago. I was young then. Later, my second aunt died. Left me this shack and all the assorted junk in it. So I came to Martinez. People told me don't go there. It's a shithole. I said, people, we just had a nuclear pile meltdown. I'm gonna get as far away from Forburg as I can. Still in the same city, but... I like the theory more than the story. Outward movement, not vortices.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
Of course. It's in working order still, isn't it? Just pick your tape and set it spinning. It all starts with the tape. Let me have a look. Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps. Traffic? I'm sorry, officer, but I don't drive. Now that I think about it, I do remember hearing a thunderous noise the other night. Some kind of powerful electric vortex hitting the shop, and then moving on.
That sure narrows down our list of suspects.
Jacob Ove, the great tip-top champion. Yes.
Do you think it may have been Jacob Irv who drove over your roof?
It's a logical explanation. I felt within that thunderous crash a soul plunged into chaos. Someone else came here earlier today asking the same question. I promptly sold her the gun you pawned a couple days back.
What? Sold? This is a pawn shop, and it did feel as if you've met before. Oh God. The lieutenant shifts from one foot to another. Alert.
She didn't seem like a policeman, although she kept referring to herself as a pig, which was odd. I found her interest in the gun a bit obsessive, but I was just happy to get rid of it, and of her. Truth be told, she was terrifying.
Right, so let me get this right. You sold your sidearm, issued by the citizens' militia, and now a civilian is running around the streets of Martinez with it?
Miraculously, his face does not reveal what's happening inside.
Yeah, it's not good. I do hope we manage to clean this mess up somehow, while also keeping our focus on the murder investigation.
This mess? He means your mess. With Kim here too. That just sounded really, really bad.
You were adamant about getting rid of it, officer. Said you were undeserving of a service weapon of the Revachol Citizens Militia. And I don't like keeping guns around the shop for long. Off-the-charts photon emissions. The unhealthy kind.
He's not telling you the whole story. It seems he's trying to spare you.
You weren't quiet yourself, officer. You were very distraught. You said the gun was a threat to your life and that you can't trust yourself with it tonight, and that you need the money. When I said that I don't normally buy firearms, you put the gun barrel in your mouth and sort of sucked on it. Then I agreed to take it.
You sucked on a gun? Good. Very normal. Very normal behavior. You must have been in great shape.
No apologies necessary, officer. My apologies, officer, but I have no idea where she was coming from or where she went.
A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it now. You'll just have to hope you luck upon her somehow.
Of course. I doubt it, but I can try and answer any questions you may have. I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of butchery. Bad for business, bad for everyone.
He doesn't know anything. No one likes to see what you have to see every day.
He's been by the shop a couple of times.
There was something awfully deliberate about that laziness.
He tried. Wanted to come to some mutually beneficial agreement around my dealings with the dock workers. I politely declined to hear him out.
So you don't know what kind of arrangement he was talking about?
As I said, I refused to talk to him. That's why he came back a second time. That's also why he hasn't come back a third. They weren't the most pleasant interactions. Small-town bigwigs always want everyone to play a part in the play they're staging. But I bowed out at some point. I prefer to watch from afar while the bigwigs come and go.
For a moment, his jaw tenses up, and his gaze is sharp and clear. Then he relaxes again.
It was all very strange. That forewoman was more pleasant than Everard. But I guess it's all the same in the end. He purchased a remarkably garish paperweight the first time he was here. Nothing the second.
He nods reluctantly. The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Sure thing. Sure, man. The Coldima Madaqua. Sorry, I would never have guessed that you were that interested in ultrasonic sounds. Or birds, for that matter. Oh, I didn't mean to imply otherwise. Well, it's been a while since I've gone hunting for the Coldima Madaqua myself. Once knew a group of young musicians who decided they didn't want to play music anymore, and started looking for all kinds of interesting sounds instead. This was before, you know, lost touch with them after all of that. Cool or not, one of them was obsessed with recording the Coldima Madaqua, and he was one of those passionate people who know a lot about all kinds of strange things. So he got the rest of us to join in his search. We thought we did. We got together all these recordings of unusual sound patterns, compared them, cut them up and combined them into the Symphonia Coldima Madaqua. Unfortunately, I don't have any recordings from my old life. None at all. But I do have a tape with some ultrasonic sounds that might be what you're looking for.
Do we really have time for this?
This recording comes from down the coast. Wasn't looking to record anything specific. Just left a recording device there one morning. Keep in mind, I have to slow this one down enough to make sounds well over 200 kilohertz audible to the human ear. It will be strange.
As the hum grows louder, modulating but always unnaturally uncomfortably low, like it's coming not from the speakers, but also from inside your chest, breathing is becoming difficult. That's an illusion. Your breathing is just as it was and will remain that way unless you start panicking. There's a growing sense of dread. The sound is coming from inside you, but also surrounding you. It feels as though someone is standing just outside your range of vision and watching you, doing this to you. He nods to you, reassuringly, just as more diverse, higher-pitched sounds, some random, some appearing to form patterns, hit your eardrums. Seabirds most likely, gulls and such.
And skewers, but shh.
That's it. The signal in the noise. The thin whisper. A low range of sounds is easier to handle with a focal point, but still troubling. You are mesmerized by the sounds, but also feel nausea welling up as the motif continues, then begins to recede, dissolving in what must be the sound of water lapping at the bank.
You know, now that I've listened to it on these new speakers, it's not the Coldima Madaqua. Wrong patterns, wrong photons. Probably some insect trying to sing higher than its predators can hear. Still, Fascinating, aren't they? Early morning sounds. Have you tried it before?
It's almost like he's worried for you. The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display. Looks like he doesn't want to get involved. Go ahead then, he thinks. As long as you can walk straight, I don't care. He won't be your nog, but he won't be thrilled about this either.
If you say so. Here you go, man.
Yes, darling. That's the coalition government ordained Parolidon. Straight into your gut. Not so sure about this. Because it's an anti-radiation drug, and you're a cop, not a post-apocalyptic scavenger.
I respect your decision, officer. What else can I help you with?
Hey, so we've been monitoring you internally, and now we know your Copo type. Yes, guess what's yours? No, you're the sorry cop. The cop who's sorriest. Let's make it official then, shall we? Huge lack of enthusiasm going on in here. Yes, impotent rage and lamentation. Let's wrap it up? What? Jealous of the sorry cop? I think they'll be fine. Don't worry. They'll be super fine. It'll be totally okay. You can dual Copo type from sorry to anything. No, you don't. Come on. You'll be back to saying sorry in 2 minutes. Stop wasting time and begin the repentance. Wow. Okay. Fuck off. Maybe we were wrong about you then. Check out the big balls on fire, cop. That page 3 girl, she must be the most beautiful page 3 girl ever printed. And look at those freckles. The origin of disco. Makes you want to dive into the boogie, doesn't it? Get closer to disco itself with Miss Page 3. L'origine du disco. Such a powerful conceit. And this is what we're going to do with it? The commitment of an act of gross public indecency? It would be indecent to ignore Miss Page 3. Beauty is inviting you on a pilgrimage. A pilgrimage you can make with just your hand. Yes, sure is. Oh, come on. Don't say you've forgotten that as well. You can feel what you want to do. You want a party, don't you? Party right now with Miss Page 3. Unzip and party. That's exactly what I mean. Unzip and party down on yourself, my man. No one's watching. Except Miss Page 3, of course. Look at her thighs. Between her thighs. And what are you waiting for, man? Party with Miss Page 3 all the way to Disco Zero. Fuck. But it's the origin of all disco, buddy. Why not?
Come on, Bratan! You're so close to disco! Take it out and jack it!
And more than that, you're sad. There's an absence inside of you. Something missing that may have been freckled too. The furnace has long been cold. Despite itself, you're too sad to jerk off. This is not the first time this has happened, either. Then it is truly over. You are beyond the help of the Page 3 girl. You are truly doomed. woman still has her eyes fixed on the photograph in her hands. In the background, the radio plays. A sturdy metal door guards the southwest entrance to the apartment building. It's locked. The door rattles against your knuckles, but there's no response. The door rattles again, but this time you hear an elderly woman's voice calling out from inside.
Stop banging on the door! I'm not letting any more strangers inside. Doesn't matter who I am. Now go on, get out of here.
From within comes the faint sound of a broom sweeping across the concrete floor.
Ha! The police? Everyone knows the police don't come round here. No, I already told you. I won't be responsible for any more strangers getting into the building. Go check the backyard door. Maybe someone there will.
Backyard door? There must be another entrance to the east.
Madame, I assure you, we are real police officers.
There is no reply. The door rattles again, but this time you hear an elderly woman's voice calling out from inside.
Stop banging on the door! I'm not the police. No, I already told you. Go check the
backyard door.
The streets will flow red once more, a great torrent rushing down Rue de Esperance. You wait and see.
The streets will not flow red with anything. Who are you?
I'm Cindy the fucking Skull. What else do you want to know? Date of birth, blood type, the last time I was tested for Hep C.
Go where? Accosting a minor?
Listen to your partner, pig man. Keep your grubby hooves off little old ladies.
She's grown frustrated with her work and welcomes the opportunity to challenge authority in other ways. A brush, an artist. The red splatter is urban expressionism. That isn't a fresh paint smell coming from the wall. She's using heavy fuel oil. Red-dyed heavy fuel oil is only used in government vehicles, or at least that's the idea.
What did you think I was using? Aquarels? Sucked it out of a cop's fuel tank myself. Back in Jamrock.
She really did it. She's proud of it too.
You ain't seen nothing yet, piggy boo. What for? Well, if it's for art. But what kind of art are we talking about? Sounds like you're just about to live out your self-pity, not make a statement. I can't have shit art on my conscience. Yeah, not gonna hold my breath, piggy. You look like you'd suck. Everything really.
You don't have the skills to execute something like this in practice. But, oh boy, the idea's going to blow her fucking mind. She squints her eyes.
On fire. I say, sod off. You don't have the technical skills to do that. I like your idea. Should have thought of it myself. I don't need this kind of competition in my neighbourhood. Then get your brush from fucking art.
Oops, my apologies. I guess I was trying too hard. You're a police officer, and a grown-up. Why are you trying to impress her? Maybe try a different approach, like climbing up there. The lieutenant is desperately searching for another handkerchief. Hatred, disgust. It's difficult to tell which of the two is more present in her girlish features. The woman on the boat does not notice her staring.
That is on her. Someone's got to keep an eye on her. On a first-name basis with her, are we? Piggy's moving up in the world. Pig's not half as dumb as he looks. Can't you tell? I'm painting a beautiful mural, an aereo graffitio visible from low orbit. I haven't really started it yet. I'm waiting for the right words. Yeah? Thanks. I'm sure the inspiration will come to me now that I have an official RCM stamp of approval.
She means the opposite. You've lessened her desire to deface the building.
I ain't no snitch, Pigstein. Go forth and forage in someone else's shit. No shortage of squealers in these parts.
Actually, there is a shortage of people who talk to us in a normal, calm, informative manner.
We weren't put on this earth to make your life pleasant, fucko. Watch your back, ungulate. You've got eyes on you.
Why does art inspire you so much? Excellent question. Art is a diverse range of visual, literary, auditory, and performative creativity. It's an expression of imagination and technical skill. Additionally, it's history, criticism, and pure enjoyment. In short, art is the highest form of human communication, representation, narrative, emotion, and agency intertwined. Have you looked in the mirror lately? You have the exact features of a savage art critic, with that beard and those clothes, disheveled and prophetic. Perhaps you should try to critique architecture too. Yes, you seek substance. No vapid representations and reproductions of social mores as made manifest in stuffy biennials. We're talking real, living art here. Become the art cop. Half art critic, half cop. Quit being so indecisive. What are you going for here? Some kind of indecisive and camp aesthetic now? Strike a bold shape here. Go art or go home. Exactly. It's not only your duty to only catch the criminals off the street. You must also apprehend criminals of the printing press and the gallery, the trite and derivative artists and writers of the world. Go ahead and provide savage criticisms, art cop. The world is yours to rip to pieces and reassemble. rotting man lies. The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath. The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in boxes and lists, describing the condition of his skin and organs in 3 parts. Above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first. It begins with,
That's you.
The corpse is indifferent to your scribblings, just lies there. The next box says,
KK57-0803.0815.
KK equals Kim Kitsuragi. 57 equals Precinct 57, followed by his date 0803 and time of arrival 0815 on the scene. He's indexed the case after himself, not you. That's because he doesn't want to bring up the messy question of your initials.
Next, NA. Next, NA. Roughly 50.
Try 40. The damage is so extensive, it's better to err on the young side. He nods.
Mondial.
Fair to olive-skinned, from the Isola of Mwindi. This is as vague as it gets. You might as well say whitish. The pudgy mess of curdled meat looks neither mondial nor anything other.
Fucky!
Male.
Pigs can have sex!
Nor does he look male, with his pregnant belly and indistinguishable face.
We're still going with March 4th, 51. What else? 9. Body identified by is non-applicable. 10. Case number is the same as the coroner's case.
KK 57 0503 0815 listens motionless, with the cargo belt still around his neck. Only one box remains.
None, at least not after the initial examination.
A strange word. Treatment.
Interfering with the body's position or wounds post-mortem.
How did you not know that? Aren't you a cop? You're leaving a weak impression here. Say something sure-handed. Don't overdo it. It's okay to be unsure. A silent nod. The lieutenant places his gloved hand on the corpse's chest, as if in preparation. Your central nervous system recognizes this gesture. It's the stations of the breath. Ecclesiastic, religious in nature, a holdout from pre-DeLorean burial rites. It takes him 2 seconds to perform. Then, somewhere in Jamrock North, a small wood shed behind Rosencrantz Row, Lieutenant Nick Feuerbat puts his hand to the chest of a small corpse, no larger than a monkey. It's raining outside, light drizzle. There is darkness in the shed. Elsewhere yet, an obese female sits in a wicker chair, her silhouette bull-like against the window. Outside, Grand Coudon. The day is turning dim for Sergeant Mac Dawson. Hand extended, he approaches, to make sure she is dead more than anything else. The building is tall, 7 stories wind-wrapped in solitude. Most of the apartments are unoccupied. This was a suicide. The other, an accident. The small one. And so, all across Jamrock, Coal City, GRIH, 42 deceased persons found today. 42 stations of breath.
We should start the post-mortem.
The corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer meaningfully interacts with its surroundings. A thicket of boxes and lists on red copier paper tries to answer why.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. The make of the briefs is Babrodine, I think. Let's see.
See, it's happening.
Babrodine, yes. Inexpensive. Size M. Color white.
The disappointment is palpable. The red-haired thing was expecting something more lurid.
The boots are ceramic, vitreous enamel. They are fused to his skin from blood flowing downward post-mortem. Removal of the boots is left for processing. The boot has a serial number. It's E50.100.100. The lines between the plates are in the shape of the alphanumerical. The number is purposefully concealed by the design. Tattoos. The upper torso is covered in a single, continuous tattoo, resembling a map of the night sky. It reaches from the right shoulder to the heart. The ink is blue and white. The assistant has a color photograph of the markings, to be added to the case files as document A1. The photo is taken on the scene, using a Trigat Mini. The deceased has a belt for airlifting cargo around his neck, tied with a hangman's knot. Color yellow. Length 3 meters. There is a buckle on the other end. Well-nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8 meters. Generally consistent with age 42. Preservation is good. Ambient temperature below freezing.
The spine is bent more than the lieutenant compensated for. This buster's actual height is about 1.85. And no, you could not take him straight on.
Of course, I undercompensated. Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with the age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back, short.
His hair feels wet, soaked with rain, cold to touch. Not that different from a living person after a swim. The stench is suffocating. Strands of dark brown hair start sticking to your hand like thread off a rag doll's head. There's brilliantine in there. He's combed his hair back with oil. More hair sticks to your hand. Hair off the rain-soaked head of a dead man. There are bumps and dips on the skull below. An alien landscape. For a fraction of a second you feel something. An irregularity. But then it's gone. Too minute to register in your mind. There, dead man. You were someone's child. It's all over now. What was what? Brilliantine. There's brilliantine in his hair. The lieutenant watches you in silence.
That was some sick shit, Sekopa.
Lividity is consistent with hanging, albeit faint, as noted. The head is congested. Contusions are present on the head, chest, and thighs, indicating stones thrown. Low velocity.
Fucking low velocity? You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking about? Velocity was fucking max. Talking shit about Kuno's velocity.
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest, consistent with predation. Ligature mark. The steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark.
You got just the right tool for that. The chain cutters.
Always good to think ahead. Now, we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below. Carefully, with as much precision as you can.
See, my pig is gonna fuck his head off.
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
After some deliberation, you sink the cutters into the knot tying the belt together. You squeeze the rubber handles together, sweat forming on your brow. Snap! The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt falls apart like a flower bouquet, revealing the dead man's neck and the dark red ligature mark around it.
The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck.
As it ought to. This is where its grip on the curdled meat is gentlest, pulling up.
Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters. Chest is intact, normal contour. Abdomen is protuberant, pelvis intact, genitalia...
No! Let's get out and see!
I fucking knew it!
This is clearly what they've been waiting for, ever since the autopsy began. The lieutenant is trying to make it as boring as possible.
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury. Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but asymmetrical. There are combat injuries on the right hand, thigh, and hip.
Bullets have bitten little pieces out of him. It must have been excruciating, especially the hip. Before you is a temple of pain that knew little tenderness in life.
In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of his skin.
From wounds sustained over 2, maybe more decades, dispersal and accumulation indicates long and active combat duty.
Last item, hands.
His flesh is cold, icy.
Pleased to meet you. Where are you from and what's your name? I'm only fucking with you. I know where you're from. From Cappadocia. And your name is Il Corbo. What can I do you for, Il Corbo de Cappadocia? I did, Kobo. I did. Reminded me of when I was just a small boy. Before this happened to my face and my body. You did me a kindness there. We should do this more often. Be close like this, I mean.
Hands are clean. No sign of injury from struggling. Ooh. That's all for the external. Well done. What next? Central nervous system. I have nothing. Do you have anything on this man's central nervous system?
Of course, there is a moral to be drawn from it. A moral to this story.
What would that be?
The dead man looks, too, with barely contained excitement to hear the moral of his story.
I think that may well be the moral of every story, officer.
Thank you for lightening his mood. It's hard down there.
Good. Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury-related. Eyes and tongue protuberant. Hyoid bone. Let's see.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant puts his hand on the dead man's throat and begins to massage it, gently. A rotting smell erupts from the mouth. Purge fluid runs down his lips, black and viscous. You hear cracks as the lieutenant moves his sharp fingers inside the flesh, like the creaking of an old house at night.
Yeah, jack that fucker off!
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal system is intact. Unremarkable. Respiratory system.
He's really doing it. The dead man's teeth cut into his gloved hand.
Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound. Mouth swollen. Hemorrhaging present in mucosa of the lips and mouth.
From here, it looks as though the clown-faced man is screaming. The tendons of his jaw are torn apart. Hyoid ripped from the force of the lieutenant's hands. No scream, no sigh of relief rises from the darkness inside. It's humid there. Sickly sweet air, unlike anything living. You feel like throwing up. Straight in that mouth. No, you don't. You can keep it in. You can keep anything in. You manage to suppress the contractions trying to enter your stomach. All it takes is concentration. Through it, you see nothing but darkness. More meat and darkness.
There are ancient mysteries down there, Kobo. Ask me later.
hemorrhaging present in mucus. Hepatobiliary, NA. Same for toxicology and serology, NA. Cardiovascular. The body exhibits heavy lividity. Blood has gathered in the hands, feet, and neck. Hypostasis is visually consistent with the hanging. Gastrointestinal.
This will do.
Digested semi-solid food in stomach. Voila. What's next on the list? Let's see. We have bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. You'll need 3 feels. Leave a 4th one too.
Be thorough if you want maximum results.
Head, chest, and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by birds has caused damage to the body. Odontologist does not need to be consulted. And your opinion, officer? Fatal injury by seagulls? Yes, it's... That's right. What's next? So, the scalp bleeds from a post-mortem head injury, a stone. The injury does not have the rim of an early inflammatory response. The perpetrator on the scene has confessed to causing it post-mortem.
At maximum velocity, fucko!
Has confessed to causing it at maximum velocity.
The lieutenant's admission has caused great gratitude in Kuna. He is silent with it. Coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest, where the countless stones have hit the dead man. Beneath, the description of injury. 2 boxes.
Right. Next. A dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the neck, with a gap on the nape measuring, let's say, 7 centimeters. The hyoid bone is fractured, the cervical column intact. I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. Depth of the mark, 1 centimeter. No signs of clawing on the neck.
Below the note, 2 customary boxes wait to be ticked. The man's head jerks to the side. The ring around his neck is visible. Think for a moment. There's time. Don't rush. What was that about no clawing around the neck? You'd be clawing for your life.
That's it. We have established cause of death. It's not much, and it leaves much to be questioned. But it's a start. Let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over. Well, we established probable cause of death. Some would say that's the goal of an autopsy. We were thorough with the list of injuries, too. We described them all in detail. What is there to say? Given the circumstances, it was a professional field autopsy.
Oh yeah, well done, Master Detective. Maybe a drink is in order?
Now, you see, that worries me. You will die if you drink. You know that, don't you? You are proving a useful detective. The organization would miss you.
Please get yourself together. The lieutenant from Precinct 57 thinks.
I need a copy of that autopsy form. Then I will drive him to Faubourg for processing.
He's thinking, did I miss something? You tilt your head, also looking at the corpse. I'm sure we didn't get everything. There's always something.
Okay, I need a little help for carrying him to the holding pen of my kinema. I can take care of the rest. Continue working here. The locals, the case, or attend to your own business. I will meet you downstairs in the Whirling in Rags tomorrow morning 7:30 sharp.
This means Lieutenant Kitsuragi will leave the party until tomorrow morning. You're free to do side tasks and even the main case, though it might be more difficult. If you have nothing to do, read books or sit on the bench on the plaza.
Fuck does Kuno care? Kuno doesn't.
It is the dead of night. Now is not the time for sitting, but for sleeping. It is time to find a bed. You see a heavy steel.
Can I help you? Thanks. I hope you found what you were looking for. How strange. I certainly didn't put them there. The trash collection service? CS Municipal. I don't see why they would put anything in the trash, though. Nope, there's nothing more mysterious than the Martinez trash collection service. Never know who's coming or when.
On Clinton Street, near the Boogie Street Diamond, a small truck rattles down an alleyway. It stops by a rusted trash container. Two men, their faces rough and swollen, jump out. They look at the container despondently. CSM is written on their backs.
Sylvie had the keys before I got here, and I can vouch for her. I can vouch for all my stuff. None of us would tamper with the crime scene. Yes? You're already set for the night. Your door is unlocked.
The fan stands. The bed is still cold from the broken window, and not too inviting. The bed is still cold from the wind blowing in from the broken window. The mattress creaks as you close your eyes and try your hardest to fall asleep.
Here we are again, my broken bud. The waves are coming, carrying you away. But you can't go. No, you have to stay. Always half aware of yourself. You're not cooperating, brother man. It's your disgusting body. Even through your sleep you feel a vague discomfort suffusing it. Your belly and your sides are unpleasantly tender. You wish you could curl up into a fetal ball of safety. But you cannot, because of the pain.
And there's a lot of it, ever present in your organs. It's like every one of them has their own nasty song to sing. That pain in your right side is your enlarged liver, by the way. As for your kidneys, you've really been compounding the damage lately. Every cell in your body is moaning in agony, asking, what did we ever do to you?
Now, you're finally thinking about something other than yourself. Let's see how far that'll get you.
Oh, yes. That'll check you out. Give you some pills. Make it all okay. The Wonder Makers.
Don't be stupid, Harry. It's not happening. They don't make new kidneys and livers in hospital. All you've got to do is pray to God it passes and stare at the flickering darkness.
You're just stuck here, in the half-world. Could try looking at other people. Really looking. But why would you want to start doing that? Sure you do. They're all so friendly, aren't they?
Some of them are. Some of them are nice. Others are scared. At least they're interesting. Each one has a process just like yours, running in the space between their ears, full of secrets. People are beautiful, statuesque, parodies and tragedies of themselves. A great democracy of creatures.
What do you think you're doing right now? Coming to some greater awareness? Look at all these lights, blinking in and out of existence. Thoughts! You're just pretending that you're asleep, even to yourself, while the world goes on without you.
Let it. Let it.
But it never seems to let you go, does it? Time to rise and wipe that shining sweat off as best you can. Gather your bearings. Rock and roll.
Put on your prettiest face for the masses.
Yes?
The woman in an RCM patrol officer's uniform winces as she notices you.
I would really prefer not to talk to you right now.
A patrol officer is the lowest rank in the RCM, below lieutenant and sergeant.
Yes, I am. I know.
Here's the real deal.
It's hard to tell whether he's sarcastic or sincere, but if you had to guess, you would say the lieutenant is being sarcastic.
I'm definitely not the cavalry. I don't know. I mean, why would I want to talk to you?
After all you've done, is what her tone implies.
No, you haven't wronged me. It's okay.
Something changes in her. It's pity. Pity comes over her.
Okay, fine. Let's talk. What did you want?
What does one talk about with a fellow officer?
What precinct?
Am I from? God, he doesn't know.
Fucking deranged lunatic.
You're getting an intellectually unsatisfying vibe from this conversation. Maybe you're doing something wrong.
I don't know what to say.
Don't say anything, Judith.
I'm just looking out for...
You?
No one. I'm just a man with sunglasses. And you are?
Yes, a policewoman who just wants to do her job. That's all.
Something about the man with sunglasses and you, the energy between you two, is making her uncomfortable.
You look like shit. And I don't mean that as a metaphor.
You can't leave it like that. Spin it on its head. Engage caps lock. No, you don't. You look like a young god.
What?
Push it more. Harder. Be more intelligent.
Oh, come on, Jean. It looks like it's been a rough week on him.
It's not just this week. What do you want?
There's something about this guy that matches with a face in your head. A similar but different face. He might be wearing a disguise. You know what it is. It's like the two of you know each other. Just ask him.
Oh, I definitely know you from somewhere.
Another life.
Yes, from another life. A different life. Maybe the life of a police officer belonging to the ranks of the... To what station do you think you would belong in this alternate and totally fictional reality?
I think even in this fictional reality, the 57th would still be my station.
My condolences. Go ahead. Have another guess.
He seems to be observing you through the reflective glass of his eyewear. There's no reply. Perhaps repeat it?
Okay. That's plausible. That's entirely plausible. Now we're really getting somewhere. Somewhere good. Okay. Let's be crazy. Let's say you and I are partners. How's that for a thought experiment? I'm sure he's fucking flattered, but Kim is not part of this thought experiment. In this one, we're partners.
The lieutenant is silent.
Would you now, or would I be cramping your style? Never mind. Partner.
I'm not your partner. This union is temporary.
A little premonition for you, Lieutenant. Sooner or later, probably sooner, your new friend tells you he doesn't need you. He will then suggest you should fuck off. When that happens, I suggest you take his advice.
The lieutenant merely bows his head in response.
Oh, no. You see, I enjoy watching other better cops solve crimes. And let me tell you, it's been quite a privilege seeing you work.
This isn't helping.
You're not going to believe this, but police officers. Yes, sir. Solving crimes, locking up bad guys, and get this, and not getting that drink on at 2 o'clock. Just some regular boring motherfuckers in suits and uniforms. Nothing spectacularly extravagant like you, the far-out son of Lang. Oh, it's you eccentric genius. I mean, with your unorthodox approach to police work, it has to be you. Not even a little bit.
It's an urban myth about an officer who is so far undercover he can't remember who he is. As I said, just an urban myth. You're not the son of Lang.
He's trying to protect you from further rough handling, dished out by this sunglassed man. Okay, yes, you get the joke. Leave it at that.
Neither can I, partner. Neither can I.
It's a mere second, but it feels like you saw something. A gram of compassion in that sadness.
Yes, it's a hobby of mine.
As if waiting for some kind of reaction or response. Something to click. It's not happening, though. Who is this guy?
I'm not getting involved in this.
It's not my style, he thinks, glancing at the man in sunglasses and the woman beside him. Oh boy, they're mad at him. No wonder. He just doesn't recognize them.
About what? You don't look like a cop. You know what you look like? Yes, a superstar cop. Of course. This again.
He didn't answer your question. Who does this asshole think he is? A cop?
No. 'Cause it's not my job. Why don't you go and fucking do yours and solve this damn hanging? Actually, I don't want to hear you say things.
Come on, Jean.
Okay, say things. I want to hear you say things.
Hear that? He wants you to say things. Say one. Suddenly, out of nowhere, case-related things start popping up in your head.
So, do you know who hanged him? Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. Why are you?
It's like you felt it would be intellectually stimulating and would lead somewhere. A custom even? Strange. Who knows why we do the things we do? Somehow, bouncing those ideas off the man with sunglasses felt calming. Like you've done it before. You know what? It must be because he's buff. He looks like he works out. Like he's got the devil on his back.
Oh my god, there's more. You want something more? What is it? Okay, why not? Let's do the old thing over again. We're not wasting time. There is no time. So, do you know who hanged him? I don't know. Oh my god, there's... Watch out for yourself, loser.
That voice. So very familiar. Did you hear it when calling to your station and reporting your badge missing?
Oh really? I wonder where. That's the where you remember me from? Okay then. It's probably a coincidence. People sound alike. Goodbye.
Okay, the man with the sunglasses and his hypothetical Station 41. Weird, right? There's something missing here. Something you can't put our finger on. You know what? Just ask him. I know it sounds crazy, and you'll probably get laughed at. But still. Yes, just cross it off the list. It's probably not true, though.
Again? I can't believe this shit. I'm going to say no. Just to see what you'll say to that. Okay?
Jean, he said okay. Give it a rest.
Okay, I was clearly wrong. He is a firefighter, male nurse, animal control agent, something of that kind. Not a cop. Go on with your cop work. Don't let me stop you again.
Yes? What is it?
God damn it, you leave her alone. Keep your weird bullshit to yourself and be professional for once, for fuck's sake.
Can I actually help you with something?
Yes, of course. Preposterous. I mean, you would remember if they were, right? Who forgets their squad mates? That's not possible.
Of course I'm with him. Why do you ask?
And you look like you don't bathe, on principle.
Please, let's not turn this into another exchange, okay? Of course I'm with him.
Well, he's not. He's a sack of shit barely kept together by crazy glue. But at least he tries, unlike you.
Please. Of course I'm with him.
You're an asshole. You know what? Maybe we're both assholes.
Please. That's not...
Oh, hello, dear. I didn't notice you at first. Oh my. What happened to the water lock? Oh, sweetie, if it weren't for you, I'd be looking forward to another sleepless night. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you both.
You're welcome, ma'am.
I hate to ask, but if your investigation takes you to the other side of the coast, please do keep an eye out for my husband.
Of course. You're a cop. You were born to do this stuff. The quest for knowledge is never over.
And if you see him, let him know Lena is waiting for him here at the Whirling. He gets so tangled up in his work that he may not know the water lock's been repaired. And it's cold out there. Oh, you're such a dear. Thank you, sweetie.
Can I help you? Got the 20 real? Good. You got the room for the night.
The man ponders his cooking. You see a heavy
I've got nothing to say to you. Why are you wasting your time? I suggest not wasting time on trivial pleasantries and focusing on why you are actually here. Titus Hardy.
Even though she has excellent control over herself, something moved behind her eyes. In the way she stands, in her face. You caught her off guard. Push her some more.
You are not here to chat up the legal counsel. You are here to question these men.
You set the pace and the topic of these conversations here. Establish that. A man like Easy Leo could have said anything. Do not be restrained, sire.
I represent the Union and these men here. Don't make this personal.
A very minor victory.
Looks like the circus left town, but the clowns are still here. Again, just get the dead guy's autograph, since you're his biggest fan.
Good one, Titus.
About fucking time.
Behind the dockworkers, a ceiling-height window. The hawthorn branches scrape the glass like bony fingers. The men are talking, but you swear you hear those black limbs tap on the window as the wind blows outside. You see 2, maybe 3 bushes grown into a single thicket over a period of circa 50 years. It takes time for a hedge like that to form. There's a little slide panel up there to let some air in. No need to open it in spring. It's still too cold outside. You're not so sure about that. Somehow you just know there's something out there behind the glass.
Yeah, your mother.
It's not a very good mother joke, but the room still laughs. Something about those mother jokes just works.
gander and a hunter and a gatherer. Feel like a traveler.
A simple little cadence. He seems to be making it up as he goes.
From another planet. Hey there. It's the jam, my man.
The air from the east is thick with the smell of crude oils, heavy metals and other byproducts of the modern era. You can almost taste it.
It's a traffic jam for the ages. Harbor gates up the street are shut tight, no explanation given. Workers on strike, scabs agitating, an all-around clusterfuck. Meanwhile, we're all stuck here in long-haul limbo for days upon days upon days. Feels like forever. Like I was born on this here roundabout and this was all I ever knew. Just me and the metal and the tires, the oil and the fumes of mazout.
Mazout is an antiquated term for heavy fuel oils. This man has a barely suppressed performative streak, or he just likes unusual words, or both.
Yeah, imagine. It's been a whole week already.
Behind the laugh, however, a touch of sorrow.
So tell me, what do you need? Nope, don't smoke. Some of the other drivers do, though. There's still a few around, waiting for the jam to disperse. Or waiting for the sweet release of death.
You really need them smokes. Need them. Got to get some. You sure he's not lying to you? You can't trust a lorry man. Hey, isn't he like smoking right now? The smell is in the air.
Okay, but this is my last one. And it's a bad habit. You should quit before both of us have lung cancer.
Are you sure you don't already have lung cancer?
Huh? Oh. No, I ain't got any money. They don't want to pay for unfinished work. The bosses, man. Makes sense. It sucks is what it does.
Maybe don't tell people. The people they don't like are actually right.
It's like whatever's going on over at the docks. Workers got a blockade set up, making demands, no way in or out.
Going on strike would probably help you dodge a bullet or two.
Some pretty wild stuff, I hear. Like a giant new power crane in half the company? I forget what exactly. Good on them, I guess. I've heard talk there's a company rep in town, too. Like a strike negotiator type. They'd know what's up. Precise demands and so on. They want to keep that money flowing in, my man. Ka-ching.
He doesn't blame them, but he's not on their side. That's for sure.
Maybe you should. Cops don't get paid much and the hours are long. Plus, you can get shot. Why not?
The RCM is a self-managing organization that operates on donations. We promote our own leaders. It would be like striking against your own mother. Yes, but do continue. You were asking about the strike?
Anything else? Yeah, this ain't really my area of expertise. I just do my job and get paid. I have things to do and places to be. All of us do. Us lorry drivers. Camionneurs. You still hang around here waiting for this mess to end. Most have scurried off somewhere to get drunk or high. Or laid. Not that I blame them, really. Not my thing. Chasing transient pleasures is a drag these days. I prefer the examined life now. Thinking, reflecting, observing.
What's better than chasing transient pleasures? The more transient, the better. When one's ended, you can get onto the next one. He tries his best to look nonchalant, but there's a rigidity in him, as if trying to conceal something warm and deep beneath a cool exterior. In his eyes, an unfamiliar longing, flecks of brown and gold. It's hard to say. His gaze wanders southwest, down the street, that goes beyond the horizon. The road continues for miles, flowing together with other roads, turning into causeways or bridges, ending suddenly in dead ends, or ramping up or down highways. It forms a crisscross pattern across the land. Above the Jamrock Quarter, in the form of a raised motorway, and then the never-ending sprawl of Forburg, high above buildings, new and old, the air filled with the rumble of motor engines. To the old south, to the farthest outskirts of Revershaw, through the checkered fields of farmland, upstream to the river Esperance, past Montmartin, the border approaches. You cannot see. It's out of the city. Up ahead, the mist blocks all sight. A gale blows across your cheeks. It is cold. Before you stands a tall lorry driver with sad eyes.
Excuse me?
A flinch jolts his frame. The question has touched a nerve.
There are things even a cop can't fix, my man. There's no helping in absence, you know? I miss my family. They're all I have. My wife, second kid on the way, waiting all the way in Diora. And here I am stuck in this shit, so far from home. Diora of the Seven Seas. It's on the other end of Le Caillou, pretty much, on another island called Laurentide, off mainland. We've got a little place there. Can almost hear my kid laugh when it snows. What's it like? Good. And bad. An ache that brings you joy. I think of them a lot. I dream up these silly scenarios in great detail of living with them. It comforts me. What about you, cop man? You missing someone?
Is that what it is? This feeling? No, it's scarier than that. You're pursued by a hunter, smelling of apricots and sorrow, and the past.
I feel for you, my friend. It's bad enough to know who you miss. Missing like that doesn't feel like it has much of an upside. But, thanks for this. It's nice to talk to someone, and I know it wasn't easy to ask. I hope you find your way through your own troubles. Oh, high-grade narcotics, illegal firearms, stuff like that.
Time to arrest him. Relax. He's merely joking.
Ha! No, I'm joking, my man. Found runs a nice, clean business. This haul of cargo is mostly sporting goods. You know, tracksuits and that kind of thing. They usually get shipped to Grad and the Occident, though we've been making headway in the Ile-Moran market lately. We're pals and all, but I can't just freely hand out the merchandise. The bosses won't be happy.
There's no denying it. Your body needs to feel the touch of some good performance wear.
This rockin' beauty. Sure is, like a rash you can't get rid of. You interested in heavy-duty cargo machinery?
A motor lorry, also called a camion, on Caillou and neighboring islands. This one looks roughed up enough to be some sort of found rust bucket. Maybe the A6?
Good eye, my man. Yup, she's an old one, but reliable. Me and her spent a long time together.
There it is again. A little touch of sadness beneath his cool. He thinks he's spent too long in this lorry.
Not unless they've illegalized sports equipment while I was on the road.
Never. They would never illegalize sport. Sport is the most wholesome thing known to man. The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm.
Don't be a stranger.
Wow, you work hard. Oh, yes, you hustle. You're a provider. It's tough out there, but you keep it real and provide. Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps down cracked asphalt, mosaic, sand, and linoleum after you re-emerged. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way, and you won't let it break you. You ride. That's just what it's like, life and death. But you got gills on your side, baby. got those black papers with the faces of the innocents on them. You bring in the Franco Negros and the Solas. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop and a sprinter and a money printer. Yeah, you're in the sales business. Shake 'em for shit and then pawn it off. Law officer style. Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Are you not about to have an anxiety attack or shoot yourself in the mouth? But you still hustle 24/7, ride or die. Now, ask yourself, are you rich? Get out of here. You're a pauper. You work harder than anyone. Almost rode yourself to the grave, and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that? That's right, 100%. Fucking G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every time you buy, sell, walk, talk, fart, so much as sneeze. Aren't taxes almost non-existent in the Gotham estate that is Revachol? You and I both, but they got those indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax. This tax that doesn't even have a name. Plus, there's the stuff people in other countries pay for that makes them ask for more money from you here. The Gotham estate's a myth. In total, the coalition government is taking 98% of all your money. What are you not sure about? They're milking your nipples till they bleed. Can't you see? Aren't you sick and tired of having bloody nipples? Here you go, hustler. Fight the righteous fight. Free the people. Keep it real. Keep it street. Keep foaming at the mouth furiously on the tax issue. Woman still.
Bastards! We have a right to work! Hold up and stay frosty, everyone. Cops are here.
You here to fuck with us? Beat the honest worker down.
Good. We're fighting for a cause here. Right to work! Right to work!
Besides, we're not that different. It helps if people see us talking, cops and strikebreakers together. Shows authorities are on our side. Builds confidence.
Rights of people, rights of workers, to have gainful employment, to make a salary, and feed their families.
His manner of speaking is wooden, the tone of voice bland and uninspired, almost as if compiling replies from a set of learned phrases.
Maybe you should ask them the questions, like why we're not allowed to make a living here.
Shame on you!
We have families to feed, you piece of shit.
So do we, Scott.
When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroaches can't get their act together, decide to block honest work for other people.
Beats me. They mumble nonsense about boardrooms and workers' rights, while we
have the right to work!
When the man moves around, you perceive some serious abs underneath his tight-fitting shirt. This man is in shape. There's something odd in the way he carries himself. His set of clothing looks vaguely mismatched. The different pieces of the attire seem ill-fitting. His shirt is far too small and an unpleasantly tight fit, while the overalls, held up by a belt, seem to fit a man with much more corpulence. He ignores your question, choosing instead to turn to the emaciated workers, raising both fists in the air. The clothes are obviously not his. Silence is the answer. There's something off here, but he won't say what. As he does, he stomps his foot on the pavement and... Stop everything. Look at that sweet pair of boots on his feet. They would absolutely complement your soul, would let your style fly even higher. Boots, black in color, crafted of hardened leather, if you had to guess. They look sturdy and stable, useful in rugged environments. Imagine what you could do with boots like this. Not be a little fucking weakling baby, for starters. There are boots for muling, and there are boots for smashing shit. Ask the man. Ask around. The doors of good taste are open to you. Be in vogue.
No. Around. Eminent domain. Previous workplace. You do that. Honest men and women with rights to work, to be useful, not toys for corporate interests. We came here to help the harbor run smoothly in time of crisis. If union fucks don't want work, they ought to let in those who do want work.
I have a question. Why do all these men follow your leadership?
Now that is interesting.
You think they follow because I'm big and loud? No. They follow the rules of the market, the rules of the economy, because they were given a job to do!
You've been talking to him for quite a while now. Something is off with this guy. Ask him where he's from.
What's it to you? No. Don't think we've met before. I can...
Every once in a while, it's like you can see glimpses of another guy under the guise of this fighter for jobs. He seems a more brutal, cunning, and suspicious person. Just a hunch. Or you just might be paranoid.
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain, in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs, heavy lifting, cargo hauling, bouncer work. I know the drill.
A monstrous shadow high above the fire traps of the domain. The 881 motorway running over this district of Jamrock. Concrete pillars rise up from the midst of the dilapidated wooden houses. On the horizon, barely visible, the hazy machinery of the harbor. Life in the domain is even worse off than in Martinez. The cold air is stiff from the fumes of the motor carriages and lorries roaring overhead. Below, broken down, battered people mill on the dusty streets with no purpose. Yet amongst them, there is no sight of this man. Nowhere.
Yeah? What makes you say that? They know me. That's bullshit. Honest men, we came here to help the harbor run.
I have a question.
Now that...
You think they follow because I'm big and we were promised work. We'd be in there, working, if the bastards hadn't shut the gates. Main gate's locked. Would take heavy ordnance to bust it open. Could try to get in through the secretary's office. Door's locked. The guard's blocking the way to the access panel. And I don't mean the scrawny mess punk either. I mean head measurer. Or whatever he is. Why don't you go arrest them instead? I'm sure they've done plenty of criminal shit. They have that look.
It would be better for the neighborhood if you went home. At least for now, if you can't get in anyway.
No! They will give up eventually. Or get drunk. Leave the button unguarded. Then we charge.
Advanced race theory. Everything is calm in the eye of the race storm. Your mind is lucid and bright. The mind-bending phylogenetics appear more distant and, to be fair, a little ridiculous. The great race mystery has cleared up. All that's left to do is verbalize your thoughts. Go and talk to Measurehead about your newly found insights. The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says, 1 bottle equals 10 cents. Your bottles clunk into the machine and the money appears with a satisfying jingle. You're a richer man now. Do you know what you should do with that money, kiddo? You should buy more alcohol. Enter the endless cycle of consumption. You see several packaged raincoats fill a low shelf beneath a display of croissants and juice bottles. The raincoats are transparent, except for the big Fritta slogan on the back. The packages are small, discreet, sloppily stacked, making them easier to take unnoticed. No need to worry about knocking over a display.
What is what? It's a raincoat. If you want to buy one, then it's only 4 real.
Her attention is drawn to the raincoats. Stealing one undetected will now be more difficult.
Here you go.
This will keep you nice and warm out there. Good choice. To the left of some croissants and juice bottles, you see several packaged raincoats fill a low shelf. One is missing, the one you legally purchased. A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays, and blister packs. They all bear the Saint Baptiste Pharmaceutics logo. Their logo is the bloodless rose, pure white, untouched by harm.
Just ask me if you need anything from Saint Baptiste. We don't stock prescription meds, but we do have Nosafed, Duramine, Magnesium, and Hypnogamma. I don't know. Let's see. Nosafed is a nasal spray, Duramine is a really good painkiller, Magnesium is a dietary supplement, Hypnogamma is... I don't really know what Hypnogamma is. I guess it makes you feel less shit. It's recommended to use after lots of partying, studying, or exercising. Uh-huh. Saint Baptiste. You know, the pharmaceuticals company. Saint Baptiste Pharmaceuticals. The one that sells meds out of Saint Baptiste. That one. There.
She is right. Saint Baptiste, the company, derives its name from Saint Baptiste, the city. Itself so named because that's what it is. A rare case where that really is the full etymological history. As far as almost anyone knows, at least.
Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something. Okay, here. Okay, here. Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something. Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something. Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something.
A colourful display of cigarettes and alcohol bottles line the shop wall, inviting you closer. The bottles wink at you in the light. The smokes too glitter in their wrapping. It's like looking into a kind of heaven. Your knees are weak. There, in that dark green glass, all in vain. The great flowing river of warmth, wine, alcohol, beer, alcohol, love, alcohol.
Guess not, no.
Good thing you're an unrecovering alcoholic then.
I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health. But I guess you already know that.
Don't ask, don't look, don't do anything here. Just go away. Get back to work. Know this, you will never finish your alcohol quest if you don't buy beautiful alcohol.
The pale aged vodka is special, I guess. It's stored in pale for a couple of years, which makes it super expensive and super strong. You know.
Don't worry your pretty little head about it. Let's concentrate on what's important here.
I mean, I already said it'd hurt you. I don't know what else they do.
Substances give powerful bonuses to your main stats at the cost of damage to your health or morale. Cigarettes raise your intellect while damaging your health. Alcohol raises physique while damaging your morale. Use medication, like Nosafed and magnesium, to counteract the negative effects of substances. Note: consuming substances can have unforeseen consequences for you.
No, Frick only sells legal drugs, like the law says. Huh? Speed. Like, speed. No, Frick doesn't do that.
Of course not. Frit is an establishment that acts within the law. Is that all, detective?
Bah! What's the point if they don't even sell the good drugs?
Welcome to Frit. Feel free to look around or something. Everything is out on the shelves.
What's that magazine she's reading?
You mean this? This is Pop Stars. It's got, like, famous people in it. It's not for sale.
Looks like it also has something called Police de la Mode, featured on page 34. This speaks to you.
It's where they rate different outfits famous people wear. It's kind of funny. They're kind of mean. It's about who's the most stylish. No, I don't think so.
We are not the fashion police. We're the real police.
You mean this? This is Pop Star.
Looks like it also has something called...
It's where they rate... no. I don't like it. I hate it.
We are not the fashion...
You mean this? This is Pop Star.
Looks like it also has... She pops her raspberry-flavored bubblegum and nods. Her shoulders tense. She shuffles back, only slightly. Bewilderment and repulsion root her in place. The lieutenant frowns at you before turning to the clerk with an apologetic half-smile.
You mean this? This is Pop Stars.
Looks like it also has something called...
Yeah, they're kind of boring, but, you know. You mean this? This is Pop Stars.
Looks like it also...
It's where they rate different Benita. She's a model. Usually it's a model. Or a singer-songwriter. Or a model.
We are not the fashion police. We're the real police.
I don't know. Frit? I think they think that the extra T makes it funkier. It doesn't.
The story goes that normal Fritta, with 2 T's, a men's workwear shop in Vredefort, was already taken. So when Fritta Retail Inc. grew into a multinational corporation, they had to add an extra letter to avoid trademark infringement.
Okay. I'm not really supposed to be chatting to anyone, but... A warehouse? I don't know. Maybe. I don't really care what Frit does.
She scrunches up her face into an expression of consummate adolescent skepticism.
Fine. Frit doesn't have a warehouse. Just a little back room here. Okay? I don't really know anything. I mean, I know it's there, but I haven't seen it, so... I don't know.
No need to worry. It's just standard procedure for us to ask around. If you hear anything, let us know, okay?
Okay. I don't know, really long. Not really. No. I didn't know him at all. Uh-huh. Reality? You mean, what reality? Economic reality, or...?
She is like a student unexpectedly called upon by a teacher. Can she answer the classroom question?
I don't really know anything. I mean, I'm 15. Yeah, that's why I'm working my arse off in Frit. So I guess, like, that's economic. I don't know. What about it? We're in Frit? As mankind, or as a nation, or...
What will her essay prompt be?
In a good place. I mean, science is doing great, and this radio computer thing seems to be kinda big. I don't know. I don't know. Look at the clock. It's right behind you on the wall.
The clock shows the time at 10:09. The hands seem to be still. It's apparent the clock doesn't work.
When ordinary people take over the government and demand democracy. Yeah, it happened like 50 years ago or so. Sorry, I'm not very good at this. At history, I mean. Our government? Or do you mean something else? Sorry, I really need to finish this article. Cool.
Welcome to Rivachol.
This man looks like trouble. You might not want to get into this right now. Plenty of time later. A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace.
Looks like it. Looks like an old central furnace used to heat the building. It's connected to the chimney. No one has used it in ages. No signs of any recent fire. Only dead rats.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die? Very good. That will be 7 real for 1 custom die. 1 standard Wiro role-playing die.
It's a handsome red die with a mix of plant symbols diligently engraved on its faces.
I'm sorry. I'm a bit overloaded just now, so I can only produce 1 dye per customer.
Every snowflake is like a little gift from the sky.
The woman before you, not.
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime.
Officer! God damn it. Pull yourself together, René. What do you want?
This man seems to be experiencing a mild to medium level of congestive heart problems, either due to narrowing of the arteries or high blood pressure. Judging by his attitude, probably the second one.
Yes, the Debardiers Union pays me to stand vigil during the night. Not out of any political allegiance, mind you. I'm an old man. Don't sleep more than a few hours every night anyway, and money is tight.
He feels like he has to justify himself for some reason.
She is nobody. This is none of your concern, and I refuse to discuss my private affairs with the RCM.
The lady is Jeanne-Marie Beaulieu, and she sure as hell wasn't a nobody.
Yes, it does. Unfortunately, I wasn't working that night. Been on a 2-week leave since last Monday. No one. The bus has been unmanned since last Monday. There's no other guard. It's just me.
No one has been guarding the container yard since last Monday.
Yes! It's not actually an issue. I mean...
Look, officers. The container yard doesn't actually need a guardsman. Never had one before René. Monsieur Claire had that booth built specially for him. It's mostly decorative.
The possibility of someone being in there is enough to discourage any ill-minded individuals.
Evrard created this job for René because he knows the Royal Carabiniers' pension of honor and PTSD isn't something a man can live off. A decorated Kingsman collecting tear reflects bad on the whole neighborhood. His words. Oh, I didn't mean to imply there's something wrong with that. I do it too. Everyone does it. It's an excellent side thing.
Yes, yes, yes. Can we conclude the topic of my guard booth now?
He is not going to become an entrepreneur.
Yes, it does. It's a private matter. Nothing to do with your investigation.
You see, officer, René is the kind of man who would rather die than admit he needs medical assistance or, God forbid, seek it.
A real man's man is just gonna ride it out.
I'm fine, goddammit. Mind your own business.
It's his heart.
No one.
No one?
Yes.
Look, officer.
The possibility.
Evrard created this job for René because...
Look, officer. Can we conclude the topic of my guard boost now? Yes. Like I said, it would be up anyway, so might as well keep an eye out. It keeps my senses sharp. Unfortunately, I don't. Unlike most of the locals, I have no qualms about assisting law enforcement, but this affair has passed me by completely. In Martinez, the Union is the law, so can you really blame them? Cop is a pejorative term. I don't have a problem with policemen. On the contrary, I admire the effort to bring order to our streets.
He doesn't know about the crime. Your time is better spent discussing politics.
I'm confident they are indispensable in regard to all the paperwork and other administrative duties. But you must agree that nature, in her infinite wisdom, has made men more fit to perform certain, more challenging tasks, don't you, officer? No reason to even feel bad about that. It's just the way of the animal kingdom. Yes, the terrain here provides an interesting variety to a familiar game. Yes, it was left by heavy artillery fire.
Heavy artillery fire, you say? That's the best kind of artillery fire. Very interesting.
Why what? Because that's what happens when communards hijack your country, execute your supreme leadership, and turn your capital into a slaughterhouse. You use heavy ordnance to clean up your home. Commies, communists, socialists, anarchists, call them what you like. They just chose the name to feel special. Senseless sentimentality. Sadly, no. It was the foreigners who brought them to their knees. We fought valiantly. Too valiantly. So valiantly we got licked. Should have fought dirty, like they did with their suicide sex cult propaganda and mad anarchist women strapped to shrapnel bombs. We didn't though, and we lacked caliber. God bless him, but the suzerain's cannons simply weren't big enough.
It was probably a bit more complicated than that.
This place is a damn beachhead, son. They had to soften the commies up first. Yes, the military coordinated amphibious landing to take back Revachol.
He finds your lack of historic knowledge troubling, a sign of mental deterioration in the preceding generations.
Martinez was used as one of the 3 footholds in Revachol during Operation Deathblow in 08. The other 2 are off in Stella Maris and the Delta. This here is Blood Ground, where coalition boots first made landfall and cleaned those rabid dogs out. Most likely, we're playing pétanque on their mangled corpses.
Blood Ground. You got old René going there. Like he isn't hungry enough already.
Damn right, son. They laid the fire of hell on the city before they stormed it. And it worked, too.
He approves of this radical approach, knows it was necessary.
The rest of the city got cleaned up, but Martinez they keep as a monument. And now the Union Socialists are practically running the place.
Well, it's your own damn fault. You, we, the coalition, Revachol, whoever you want to blame, never finished the job. Officially, the party never surrendered. Of course they still hold influence.
You don't even begin to truly understand the players on the table, let alone the specific circumstances surrounding the... What do you think?
Thinking men have opinions on these things. Present one.
I'm sorry it had to be them. After 8 years of fighting those hyenas, boiling cats for food and drinking piss in the mountains, I would have preferred if the Right Honorable King Guillaume returned through Revachol, or even if that damn clan Frissel had risen from the grave and led us. Sadly, that was not the case.
This royal failure weighs heavily on him.
Instead, all that is just, holy, and beautiful in the world was wiped away, and now it's neon signs with toothpaste ads everywhere. Foreign influence peddling garbage and stupid music on the radio. This is just what the commies wanted. This was their plan all along. This is what they wanted to replace the role of the suzerain with. It doesn't. That was 100 years ago. Ain't got nothing to do with anything. Damn Frissel. He was the king we couldn't protect. The Carabineers failed him, and the crown. He died in the hands of the Hyperlay, in a very public execution.
He slouches as he says that. It makes him smaller, admitting they left the king to the mob.
A true king in both blood and mind led Revachol before Frissel. He would have been better, but the damn commies drove him into exile.
Some manner of self-deceit is present in his thinking. Sounds like this Guillaume abandoned him, and he doesn't want to admit it.
The suzerain is the king! Has everyone forgotten already? They've forgotten already.
Soon, they will forget everything. Him too. Then he chooses anger over melancholy.
It's no use talking to you. You were still in Daddy's balls when it happened. When we took our last stand against the filth and rode the cavalry straight into gunfire.
An extremely inadvisable strategy against automatic weapons. Be sure not to make the same mistake. As Rene turns from you to his partner and back, the medals on his chest rattle and glare. He keeps his spine straight and his ribcage lifted, displaying them proudly. 2. The larger one is shaped like a cross, while the smaller medal resembles the sun. A crowned head in front of 2 crossed rifles. The medal hangs from a blue-striped triangle. It's the Croix de Bravoure, Cross of Valor. The cross was the highest battlefield decoration in Suzerain's armed forces, awarded for exceptional bravery in the line of duty, in service of King Frissel I. A small blue star inside an orange sun. It has the word Valiance written below. The setting sun was a decoration used to distinguish seasoned combat veterans in service of King Frissel I during the Revolution.
For bravery.
It's a conflicted topic for the old veteran. There must have been a number of controversial episodes in his service days.
I'm sure, but I know this uniform's reputation. You are also wondering if I got this for raping women or killing babies. Son, we should never forget our past. Lots of mistakes were made back then, but there were also lessons. Forgetting those times means the mistakes were for nothing. That all those people died for nothing.
Whoa! Sounds like you're about to open the gates of conversation. This man will literally talk your ear off if you let him wander off to memory lane.
For doing my duty in the heat of battle, for looking my mortality in the eye, when men like Gaston here hid in the bushes and shat themselves.
He saved some muddy princeling who foolishly strolled into the front line in his gown of velvet and gold.
It was on the first months of the revolution here in Revachol. Unrest was spreading like wildfire. Marauders had taken most of the Couronne and were getting really ambitious. King Frisel thought he could end it all in one decisive strike. Sent his cousin, Drisson, to put an end to the unrest. Alas, the young Drisson was all piss and no vinegar, wearing a tunic of purple velvet and cockatiel feathers to battle. Even his rifle was gold-plated, shone from 5 clicks away. Can you imagine the asininity?
You can. It's very asinine. He really despises that Drissant fellow.
Purple velvet tunic. That isn't exactly camo.
To keep the long and bloody story short, Drisson marched us against the partisans in Couronne. And when I say marched, I mean made us walk into captured enemy territory, single file, like toy soldiers, while he rode in front on his giant red stallion. The rebels were smart. They let us come real close before opening fire. Suffice to say, it was carnage. I got shot in the left shoulder and went down. Just a flesh wound. But just as I turned over, the prince fell into the mud next to me. He was missing his lower jaw. Then his horse, driven mad by the noise and smell of gunpowder, stepped on my leg and shattered my knee.
It's painful to even think about. Hang on to the story. Veterans get sentimental after such retellings. This might yield something useful.
I grabbed my sidearm and shot the beast in the head. Then everything went black.
Capitaine Arnaud, le fléau des chevaux.
The bane of horses.
When I came to, it was all over. It was just me and Jolas Tresson, gurgling in the blood-soaked mud right next to me. The Dink had taken numerous flesh wounds and lost a lot of blood. But despite missing his jaw, he seemed hesitant to die. Tougher than he looked, that one. So I grabbed the Dink and started crawling. Kept going until the 59th Cavalry picked us up. Through some miracle, we both survived. And the jealous freak convinced Frisel to give me a medal for not leaving him to die in his own blood. Piece and shit. He was the commanding officer and I was on duty. Just doing my job. Shouldn't hand out medals for that. 13 months later, I received the Sun for distinguished service. It's not worth mentioning.
You sense he's downplaying it. He did a lot more than his duty. More than anyone's duty. It's in his spine, in his billowing breasts, and untarnished self-worth. Duty, medals, honor, chain of command. I like this guy. He's not a pansy. I don't like pansies. The old carabinier stands quietly like a statue, his features motionless.
What Monseigneur Modesty is not telling you is that he crawled over 7 kilometers before the cavalrymen found him and Drisant. 2 days later that was. And that even while crawling with a mangled half-dead prince on his back, he still managed to murder 3 rebels on his way.
Is that pride in his voice? It's deep down, but maybe even unbeknownst to the man himself, it's there.
Sorry, officer, but you're reading me all wrong. I'm a man of peace, and these kinds of bloody heroics are only impressive to men like René himself. Certainly not to me.
He's lying.
how did you find the story to be, officer? Maybe, but also bear in mind, officer. Oh no, you have to get shot repeatedly, and you need to get your hands bloody too. Really, really bloody.
Do not speak of what you know nothing about, Poltroon. Duty is something you will never understand. Because he was a goddamn dandy. Had no business leading men or even being on the battlefield. All he was related. That's it. Royal blood alone doesn't make army commanders. He was a stupid kid, only interested in horses, hairstyles, and man-loving. And 782 Royal Carabineers are dead because of his incompetence.
Whoa, man-loving? Is that even a word? It is not.
Bah! There were many such stories in those days. Many such men, too. True Eversholians. Men with backbone.
Oh, yes, René, yes. Men were bigger, girls were prettier, and everyone wore the fascia. Lord, please, bring those days back, if you can.
I'm not getting into this with you again. Officer, was there anything else?
You should try to come up with a heroic story of your own. Impress this old soldier. Go long, go deep, go unconventional.
Sure, officer. Let's hear your take. I'm not following you.
He'll get it. Don't worry. Just continue. He's gonna be impressed. The man stares at you, silently frowning. Doesn't look like he's imagining it. The carabiner crosses his arms and spits in the crater.
You're talking about getting blackout shit-faced drunk and going into delirium, right?
The lieutenant looks up from his notes and nods to the old carabiner.
How so, then?
His tone is like that of a drill sergeant addressing new recruits. The lieutenant sighs audibly, but keeps his eyes on the notebook.
And I thought getting my knee shattered and surviving on rat carcasses in the trench was bad. Here, have one of my medals. You've earned it, officer.
Your sarcasm will be your undoing, old man. Extremely rigid principles this old soldier has. Don't leave room for a change of heart or backing out. The medal is yours. The veteran of numerous armed conflicts extends his right arm with the setting sun in his clenched fist and an expression of utter disbelief in his eyes. Flashes of bloody and terrible scenes of war. Men dying, horses shrieking, blood sinking into sand and snow and asphalt and fertile black earth. All of this accompanied by a musical composition telling of heroism of old, when men were bigger in both body and heart. You feel strange kinship to this old soldier. You and him are the same now.
Was there something else you wanted to take from us?
Just like that, he analyzed the situation, accepted the facts and moved on, like a soldier.
I don't think there was anything else he wanted, was there? You got the medal. Now let's solve the crime.
Ah, yes! King Philip III on his steed. A reminder of what Revachol once was.
Oh, absolutely. At the mercy of a cocaine-snorting tyrant who emptied the treasury so he could sleep on a bed of gold.
A superpower, feared and respected. A testament to what this country can be under the leadership of a true king. Someone who knows how to rule. Decisively, without fear of offending the sensibilities of the frail and weak-minded among his subjects. This is something the insurgents never understood. Revachol would be a different place if more people realized that. We could still be the...
Don't get started on that again. What happened, happened.
The carabiner doesn't reply, but his entire being communicates unbreakable resolve. No one and nothing can change this man's mind. He is as rigid as they come, still in that antique uniform. It's a symbol for him.
Right. It's a Belle McGrave, 4.46 caliber, breech loading, Revachol made. Good weapon, accurate and reliable.
His moves are quick and precise as he first checks the weapon, then aims it at the sea. This man knows firearms intimately.
This one's inoperable. The bolt spring is missing and the mechanism is jammed shut. Still a beauty. Where did you find her? I'm not surprised. There are probably lots of forgotten wartime weapons lying around here. Back in the day, everyone had something stashed away. As for the rifle, I don't know what else to tell you. These BM-446s are an antique. No one uses them anymore. The ammunition is impossible to find. Vigilance officer, what can this all
I have really outdone myself. This is divine.
Yes, that's what you need, Gaston. More padding on that fat arse of yours. I hope your heart gives out.
René, it's a little pleasures. Life doesn't need to be a struggle. Hello, officer. How might I be of assistance on this fine day? Oh, sweet Jenny. She was the finest woman in all of Revachol. Maybe the entire world.
Do not defile her memory, Gaston. Let her rest in peace.
His tone lacks its usual intensity, like he doesn't feel he has the right to speak on the matter.
She died of pneumonia 2 winters ago. It was a quiet passage, peaceful. René and I were both by her bedside when she...
died. No use sugarcoating it. Won't bring her back, will it now?
Departed. Until the very end she couldn't decide between us. The most indecisive woman I've ever met.
A quick grimace of pain passes over René's features, but he immediately regains control. His face now a dispassionate mask again.
We knew her, all right. Lived on the same street our entire lives, just 2 houses apart. The 3 of us have been best friends since we were 4. She was René's first girl, back when the prick was 16. They were courting till he decided he'd rather die for some great ideal than just be happy.
And then you stole her from me.
Well, technically, you stole her from me, because we'd been pretty close ever since you two had that falling out over the ink you spilled over her pretty yellow dress.
We were just boys then. This was different. You... No point starting this all over again. For the 1000th and the first time. Especially when we have company. Officer.
She could never make up her mind about anything. What to have for breakfast, favorite color, or which one of us to marry. She was always leaving one of us for the other, but never long enough to actually get married. Heck, technically, we're both still engaged to her.
You always confused her. couldn't let us be happy. Seduced her with your fancy words and pastries.
He suddenly remembers you are still there, falls silent, and turns away.
Of course, officer. Memories are all we have left. Let me think. I heard someone was hanged and left on a tree for a week, but that's all I know, really. No, officers, I'm sorry, and I really would like to assist. You are both good guys. I can see that.
Then help them, you wimp. You have plenty of shoulder with the ghost caviar in the Union. Someone must know something.
He means caviar socialists.
I wish I could, but I just don't know anything. I always keep my nose clean and don't gossip. Everyone knows and respects that.
Odd. He doesn't seem to be lying, but there's something off here.
I'm not even anyone.
Of course he's holding back. His mouth is so full of Union prick he can't even speak properly.
Can I at least finish my fucking sentence before you piss on it? Is that okay, René? I'm not anyone important in the Union. I just know Evrard. Everyone in Martinez knows the Clare brothers. I taught these boys human studies and history in the gymnasium.
Gymnasium. I love that word.
What do you know about history? You never witnessed history, only heard about it years later when it had already moved on. You don't know history.
The old soldier mumbles something under his breath and turns to face the sea. There he stands, proud, rigid and alone, like a cracking marble statue.
Let's try not to get caught in a crossfire.
Lest we leave riddled with bullet holes. This animosity is ancient.
Oh, in many ways, yes. Like an honorary member. I attend meetings and parties, help with little things. Evrard, Edgar, and the older debarders all know me. Oh, yes. Not in the technical sense. I don't have a vote or a membership card, but Evrard keeps me on the payroll, just for the little things.
So that's what it was before. Him hiding something. He tries to make it look like he's a big deal in the Union, and now the illusion is disintegrating before your and René's eyes. He doesn't know anything, because no one tells him anything. He's an outsider.
Of course he's not a member. He's not a member of anything. I knew that. He's a Weservein. Turns to where the wind blows and tries to look important. I hate the socialist rabble, but even siding with them is better than living your entire life on the fence. Never committing to anything. Pick a damn side already.
Writing work mostly. Occasionally, he needs something written, and I happen to have a way with words, people say. Oh, nothing official, I assure you. Just essays for the newspapers. About Martinez and how things are and how they could be. Evrard and I have these long talks where...
Well, he tells his little pen man exactly what to say. It's commie propaganda, plain and simple. You should be ashamed of yourself.
That's why Gaston isn't a Union member. Evrard needs a neutral party to speak his ideas.
I don't even consider myself a regular socialist. Politics is not really something I involve myself in, officer. I believe everyone has the right to think and do whatever they want, even if it's nothing at all. I'm very adaptable.
Oh, mon Dieu.
No, thank you. For being consummate professionals. You'll have this case wrapped up in no time. Oh, the goal is to throw you bull. As close to the cautionné as you can. That's the cochonnet. Well, first, you draw a circle about a half a meter in diameter. We made ours out of rope. Then, the order of play is determined by a coin toss. You win it. You get to throw the cochonnet. Then, the players aim to throw their bulls as close to the cochonnet as possible. They must stay in the circle and keep both feet planted. I could, but I'd rather not. I don't want to take up your time with trivial details, officer.
Is he denying you information when you clearly requested it? That's it. We're blowing the lid off this man jar. You need to know things. Yes, you do. Knowledge is power. Bathe in it. Empower yourself. Trust me. All that blunt data must have triggered an information hoarding reflex of sorts. Think of it like a small seizure. It will pass.
Yes. I'm sorry, officer.
Good. Gaston finally understands the rules now. Let's see if it makes him a better pétanquista.
I don't like where this is going, officer. Don't you think we should do something else now? Hurry up then.
I'm sorry, officer, but I really don't share food. Nothing personal, it's just a principle.
The only one you have.
Suddenly you realize how hungry you are. The last time you ate must have been, God knows when, aeons ago. Probably when you were still a child. The sandwich looks like a culinary wonder. Well made and abundant in components. The author sure knew their craft. In addition to the obvious slice of ham, a fat one, you notice a brim of a tomato peeking from below. And is that mayonnaise?
Believe me, officer, I wish I could help you, but I need this sandwich to keep my blood sugar stable. In my age, you need to pay attention to these things.
You can barely hear him. The sweet smell of pickles in harmony with garlic butter and marinated onions emanating from the sandwich is driving your mind in a singular direction. It must be yours. And then it hits you. The brilliant bastard has drenched the entire sandwich in honey mustard. That's incredibly decadent and delicious.
Fuck off! It's mine!
A glimmer of respect flashes in Rene's eyes.
Sorry, officer. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it in a bad way. But the sandwich is mine. I'm not gonna share it.
And it's gone.
When the dissidents come to rape our country, he hides. But try to get a bite of his dear sandwich and he gets claws? We are a special kind of vermin, Gaston.
Alright, this is how we're gonna do it.
Like what, officer? This is as good as they come in Revachol, I assure you.
An array of delicious recipes flashes through your mind. Salads, salmon, sandwiches. Bingo. This calls for an engineering angle. Structural rigidity, exposed rafters, lattice works, that type of approach. Lattice works, like lettuce works. I see what you did there. Don't ever do that again.
Mon Dieu, that is an excellent idea. That would virtually negate the component loss.
Beautiful. Now bring it home with paprika.
Ce serait délicieux! Can you make that sandwich, officer?
No problem. You just need his for research and development first. Just as a prototype, of course. Stall now and the sandwich is forever lost.
I hope you are not just tricking an old man out of the little he has left. Or god of sandwiches, maybe? But in the meanwhile, What can I do for you here and now, officer?
The ham sandwich looks fresh and nutritious in your hand, begging to be eaten. A treat of this magnitude should not be enjoyed alone.
I'll pass. Thanks.
When you hold something up long enough, some people are compelled to take it. Try it on the lieutenant.
Thank you, but no, I'm not hungry. No. No.
The lieutenant's eyes express an absolute lack of interest. The lieutenant stands next to you, but he might as well exist in a parallel realm. This man does not crack under pressure. Stars would die before he'd succumb to any kind of manipulation. With this realization comes a sudden flash of pride.
Some people would feel compelled to take it. Yes, I know. No. I'll pass.
When you hold something up long enough, some people are compelled to...
Thank you, but no. No. No.
The lieutenant stands next to you, but he might as well exist in a parallel realm. This man does not...
Stop that.
One look at the lieutenant immediately tells you he is ready for your assault sandwich. A bad idea. Men like the lieutenant are not won over by such childish maneuvers. The lieutenant slaps the sandwich out of your hand faster than you could ever hope to react in your sorry state. It lands in the dirt and falls apart.
Officer, we have serious matters to attend to. I suggest we get to them right now.
The ham sandwich, a treat of this magnitude, should not be. You jam your teeth into the sandwich and immediately feel a series of taste explosions go off in your mouth. It's like someone's carpet bombing your tongue with ambrosia. This is what angels must taste like. Your saliva production increases tenfold. You can barely contain it all. It really is every bit as good as it looked and smelled. The different components all chip in and complement each other, forming a flavor that is unique to this particular masterpiece. The bread, as the foundation of the sandwich, is slightly moist due to the tomato juice and mayo, but holds together nicely. Almost nothing falls off the sandwich. You feel like you really got everything out of this experience.
It is such a pleasure to see you again, officer. It is such a pleasure to see you again. It is such a Well, officer, what did you think?
Make it lively.
Coming from an officer of the law, this appraisal means an awful lot to me. Thank you.
I don't mean to keep Gaston's tongue from your rectum, officer. But do you actually have any police business with us?
must be another way into the building.
Hey, what's that noise down there?
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samar and Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
Shit, yeah, baby. It's the party pipeline. Why would you want to shut that down?
Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut. I assure you, officer, these are not the sort of parties you'd want to attend.
She has no idea what kind of parties you've been to.
Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dockworkers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
The handoff. The motor lorries at the roundabout.
Precisely. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they're vulnerable.
How convenient that they're stranded like beached whales at that roundabout.
Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment.
Her irises are light green, like the River Esperance in bright daylight, upstream where it's clearer.
I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
Uncovering Union secrets could also give you an upper hand when dealing with them. You'll be indebted to her, in a way, but one step ahead of the Union in another.
The two might even be connected.
Or not. Though, if you have evidence to the contrary, I'm eager to hear it.
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done. How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves. Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, though she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
A cold breath rushes in from the bay, making its way down the alleyways and potholed streets. From Martinez to Jamrock, in the traffic you hear the clinking of glass vials, concealed beneath tarpaulin. Or is it just your teeth chattering in the cold?
A lot of it. It comes in from large Samaran factories in South Safre, Sigai, and Sinyao. The literage they must get from this terminal alone must be oceanic.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Tract and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand. We did, on more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCN. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers. Yes? Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
A waft of flowers and caramel reaches you where you're standing.
More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything. These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late. For the big time.
The smile of a predator. No doubt what she's got in mind.
All men are predators, dear. Nothing much to be done about that. It's all a matter of where you get to file your teeth. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Why, of course. We're talking Duke Out Central. Full swing intra-species warfare. No, I would say the apes were neutral. I don't know about that.
No, the tiny apes are doing all they can to be better. It's not their fault. It takes time for the apes to change and work. Perhaps what happened here was part of that time and part of that work. The apes will never change. They are all evil. End of discussion.
Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head.
She's not gloating. It's a relieved celebration.
Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
She likes the totality of it.
Indeed. They piled them in mass graves in Ozon. And, well, that's the last anyone heard of those people. Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Yeah, it was a kerfuffle, all right.
Yes, the Insulindian deluge, they call it. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. I prefer the term risk-averse. King Guillaume was nobody's fool. He could smell a PR disaster brewing, so he got out alive, and his nephew Fricelle got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. The Liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. The Liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people. The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay. The armed centre of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government.
The rulers of Revachol, and also the world. These guys are strong.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
The color of moralism is blue. The official motto of Moral Intern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of grey sky. Unofficial. For a moment, there was hope.
A devout man of the centre. Hard to come by. It's good to have someone who takes a moderate approach to head shooting. In your line of work, I mean. The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in 02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in 08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar.
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think. A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the coalition of nations, and you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication, telematic milieus, radiation, coloured plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
Time flies. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river levelled, offshore platforms in flames, Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
Then you happened. Your youth in the 30s. All that untaxed income must have fueled the new. That can only mean one thing.
No. It was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. Welcome to reality, baby.
From the looks of it, the 50s haven't been much better for the zone of control. You can see it in her eyes. Days slipping away.
I've no right to be dissatisfied. This shirt is Barbara Muscova, this raincoat is impervious to rain and is guaranteed for 100 years. My daughters will wear it. No, it's just... We could have had so much more. Every one of us. If only we played it right. Good question. What would you have done differently?
No, her first.
And I asked you, past-less detective of the Citizens Militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given to you?
Here's some wisdom, lady. Say the death thing. The cold runs down your spine as you say the words, like a small electric charge that seeks grounding.
I see. A tenth of humanity. The key of history is in the lock. Keep turning at any cost.
The wind stops, and for a moment, there's silence. The cold dissipates into your parietal lobe, like a dissolved bullet. All is quiet on the Martinez Inlet. A dog barks. A gunshot echoes off the walls of some distant building. A woman's voice.
Capital is past.
Past? That's what De Briever, the leader of the Communards, said, before she got a bullet in her head. Don't get me wrong. Capital is finished. But understand this. Its end won't free anyone. It will only lead to more suffering.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
And what is your official position, Lieutenant?
There is curiosity there that goes unnoticed. Kim takes a step back, absent-mindedly.
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir.
Understandable. They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer. 6 kilometers southwest, in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" "Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls it out slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again. We always do.
You're an officer of the RCM. Preciso mundo. Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, Detective.
Yes, we are the Revachol Citizens Militia.
He's being sarcastic.
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin. The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital.
All 3 are good to know when we are out policing.
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent, provisional rulers like it. Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you. The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the international zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. They will never forgive you.
That's somewhat of an exaggeration. In reality, ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Revacholians get to keep the peace in Revachol, and the coalition doesn't have to worry about it. Anyway, sorry to intrude. Please continue.
Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police. The only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help. A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Ah! This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or 2. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off.
Splat, splat.
You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a soaring motion.
Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. Young people who dye their hair funny colors and wear old people's clothes are stupid, and their little rebellion is self-defeating. All right, what next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture.
And what would that be? I can see that, yes. I dabble in those dark arts myself, not so long ago. I assure you, it was a thoroughly supracultural phenomenon. All permeating. Downright mandatory. Nothing infra about disco, baby. Those days are long behind me. And even in the early 30s, I would say I was more of a new girl. Disco was a minor, but still enjoyable facet of the whole thing for me. The new, a cultural era, and the name of the decade it ravished, the 30s. It came out of post-revolutionary Revachol. It was ultra-liberal. It involved lots of partying, as you might imagine, and champagne-coloured everything. By the looks of it, that would have been when you came of age. Now, wasn't it Guillaume Le Million who said, if you can remember the new, you weren't there? Ah, yes. This is not very central to reality, is it? I can't be 100% sure, but I believe he died due to complications from venereal disease. You can't get a venereal disease from that, can you? All of them. I'm afraid no. But then again, one can't be entirely sure. It's all part of his mystique. Ask someone else and you may get a more champagne-coloured take. Anyway, what other basic facets of reality should we discuss?
What is all of this? The scent, the sound, the air.
What world? The only one, I suppose. The world of matter. And its pale antipode.
The camera of her mind glides over the surface of the water.
Great bodies of water. Forest-covered surfaces. Clusters of light where the cities lie. You've seen the montage. We all have. This world is enough.
It must be. This is the greatest and the kindest arrangement the atoms had in them. A frisson lifts the hair on the back of your arm. Wind sweeps the surface of the bay.
Indeed. There is a term of endearment they coined for it in the DeLorean century, when humanity was high on this world, discovering more and more of it, these archipelagos included. Elysium. Not in this case, no. That sounds more like something the Mesk petrofascists might say.
The Confederate Republic of Mesk, the world's largest state by territory, has fallen into an especially nihilistic strain of nationalism lately.
It isn't enough to call us animals. Even animals aren't animals. They're like you and I suppose. Living organisms don't identify with abstractions. Elysium is for particular beings. It does. There are those who would call it hell. A term of hatred that originates, like many such things, with the Mesk petrofascists. Oh, you want a picture of the world? There is no complete set yet, dear. They're having some trouble reaching orbit. Great things are difficult to achieve. For now, we're viewing the world from the inside, sideways. We used to think it was a sphere, but that is beginning to look less and less likely by the day. You wouldn't know it from the tabloids, but the ORG nations have been launching weather balloons into the lower ionosphere since the 30s.
ORG, Occident Revachol Grad.
There's a steadily increasing trickle of images. Between the big three scientific contributors, they're piecing together a dark grey corona. Yes. Pale covers 72% of the surface. There are grey flares and prominences, even arcs above entire isolas. The images are blurry, But if there was a sphere in there, it certainly looks like it fractured a long time ago.
A cold fear seeps into you.
They say there is a rarefied envelope of matter surrounding the darkened disk of our planet. That is, if we are still living on a planet. Or, to speak more plainly, imagine vast swathes of land disrupted by nothingness. I am sorry, dear. It must sound quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Even scientific positivism isn't entirely convinced about what we're dealing with here. But this is one of the greatest questions of our time. Maybe when they get the complete set together, it will jolt us out of our rut, bring us together, however naive it may sound. You have misimagined it. I don't have the power to convey to you the effect and geometry of the images that depict our world from below low orbit. It's like the crowning of the world. It's insane. Very disco. You'd love it. But you already have. And you're doing just fine, despite the rubble.
The cold seeps into you. The air is heavy with 80% humidity. Suddenly, you're conscious of yourself standing there, on whatever this all is. Your arms hang down by your sides. The lieutenant observes you both, silently. He adjusts his glasses.
The Pale is not, technically speaking, part of reality.
Yes. Also, I think we've had enough excitement for today. We do have a case to attend to.
His voice is low, but firm. All she can say is,
Of course, Lieutenant. Let's try something else.
Ma'am, remember you are dealing with a very sensitive and impressionable police officer who is still recovering from a recent medical episode.
The Lieutenant's right. Let's change topics. What do you want to know? Anything.
But she wants to tell you. You could sneak back later when he's not around, unless you can convince him to step aside. Good idea. Just ask him. He won't make a scene.
Fine.
See? What can he do? You're a grown man.
Are you sure you're sure? Your colleague seemed adamant. Okay. The Pale is the most dominant geological feature of the world, Detective. The separative tissue between the islas. It is the inter-islary mass. Isla is a Messinian word for a continent of matter, enveloped on all sides by the Pale. Also, isolation, or landmass. We used to believe there was only one. In the last 4 centuries, we have discovered 7. Windy, Seol, Samara, Ilmara, Grad, Katla, and this, Insulinde. An oceanic isla. It comprises mostly of water. Muindi is the largest, Katla the coldest, Insulinde the bluest. What can I say? Each is perishing and dear. Achromatic, odorless, featureless. The Pale is the enemy of matter and life. It is not like any other, or anything in the world. It is the transition state of being into nothingness.
The negation of being.
That's right. The negation of being. Oh, it is so difficult for us.
A squall of birds. Hardware operating in the harbour. Firm.
It is possible to force dimensions on the Pale. In modern times, we can even compress its latitude, bouncing radio waves from one end to the other, shortening the path. But it is still hard for humans to navigate the Pale without getting lost, or having our minds damaged extensively. Some say The damage stems from extreme sensory deprivation. Others argue that Pale somehow consists of past information that's degrading, that it's rarefied past, not rarefied matter. They call it the blend over of the self. The Pale does not only suspend the laws of physics, but also the laws of psychology, maybe history even. The human mind becomes over-radiated by past.
Who says and who argues?
The logical positivists say, the dialectical materialists argue. It feels terrible. Absolutely terrible. International standards strictly limit civilian travellers to 6 days of Pale exposure per year.
It's more for her. Way more.
No, nameless detective of the Citizens Militia. I am a member of the Entreprenetic Business Class. I'm cleared and trained for 22 days of Pale transit annually.
Perhaps that explains her strange pining after the revolution. Some degraded early memories. She's looking out toward the sea. What at? It's hard to say. She's over-radiated, and then some.
The Pale outweighs reality 2 to 1. There is more Pale than there is matter, and the ratio is slipping. What do you think, Detective? Precisely. One of the few measurable effects of the Pale is that it is expanding at an unknown rate. An intuitive conclusion of that development is that one day the Pale will cover everything. But this sort of talk is mostly left to extremists. Most people, and indeed most private and government sector organizations, entire civilizations and religions even, find handy ways to ignore or downplay that knowledge. I suggest you do the same.
Off we go. You see the hanged man's mouth open.
One and all. They say Pale is death, but for the universe.
Why should we just leave, and the world get left behind?
Entreprenetics is the scientific study of the Pale, or a recent iteration of it by way of Grad. The study of the Pale reaches back 6,000 years. The Pericarnassians called it the Western Plain.
They had not travelled the entire circumference of the Pericarnassian Super E Solar. It was not merely in the west, it was everywhere, even then, surrounding them.
There are signs of pre-modern crossings. Successful navigation of the Pale relies not just on technical know-how, but intensive psychological preparation. Some of these tactics have been known for thousands of years. Nothing. We remain powerless before the Pale. The only real advance in Pale transit is the speed with which an aerostatic craft can pierce it. Less exposure leads to less effects later. Hybrid airships, Detective. Conventional rotors or jet engines no longer add velocity after the point of reference for motion is suspended, once you've crossed from near Pale to far Pale. In essence, we throw them in and they come out the other end, if we throw them precisely. Then they don't.
Gone, like a skipping stone beneath the surface.
It's difficult to describe, or even measure. Something whose fundamental property is the suspension of properties. Physical, epistemological, linguistic. The further into Pale you travel, the steeper the degree of suspension, right down to the mathematical. Numbers stop working. No one has yet passed the number barrier. It may be impossible.
There's a slippery article in there.
Pale when it's particular, this territory of Pale, the Pale when it's pale in its entirety. Once you've seen it, language balks at the difference. No, Detective. We're safe. It begins there, 6,000 kilometers to the north, and even more to the south, east, and west. You are in the middle of the Isla.
As your gaze instinctively turns north, a small black pit opens up in your stomach.
An uproar of matter, darling. Rising into the Pale. Rolling. Evaporating even. A great vision. The area of transition between the world and the Pale is called Porch Collapse. Imagine a grey coronal mist, cold vapour marked by spores of an opportunistic microorganism, a mould that's adapted to grow at the edge of the unrest. It's the most disco thing you will ever see.
You hear your pulse rise. The air feels caustic and cold suddenly.
Yes, sweet reality. But before we do, tell me, Detective, is this the first time you're hearing this? Do you really not remember anything? Beyond curious. Tell me, what do you think of the Pale?
Your ailing constitution, sweaty forehead, the beads there, and your heavy breathing.
You really didn't know. This does not spell good for the investigation, Detective. If you don't know even this, then... I hope so. I truly do. If I may suggest, hold on to your colleague, Kitsuragi. I ran a check on him and he is very competent. In the meanwhile...
Some of that assurance is meant for herself, as much as it's meant for you. She must have a lot on the line here.
You have me. I will assist you in any way I can, even if we have to do it one basic term at a time.
Good. You have not passed out from it. Perhaps I worried for nothing. Are we still on the reality lowdown, or should we do actual police work now?
Good luck, detectives.